Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this afternoon's session, Made in Italy, Sold in the UK, Harnessing Provenance and Craftsmanship to Drive Sales. My name's Ruth Faulkner. I'm the managing editor of Retail Jeweller. Retail Jeweller is the leading trade publication for jewellery and watches in the UK. And so thank you to all of you for joining us. Today we're going to be focusing on Italian-made jewellery, which, as we know, is globally renowned for exceptional design, quality and craftsmanship. Qualities that continue to resonate strongly with UK consumers. But obviously, it's a competitive market out there. So how can manufacturers and retailers work together to make the most of this reputation for Italian jewellery? Over the next 30 to 45 minutes, we'll explore the kind of enduring values of provenance, strengths of Italian manufacturing, and the opportunities for those in the UK to differentiate their offer through this promise of quality, heritage, and obviously trusted supplier partnerships. I'm delighted to be joined by three fantastic panelists, each bringing a unique perspective to the discussion. On the end, we have Luigi Marostica, Vice President for Internationalization at Confindustria FEDERORAFI. Just make sure I say that right, sorry, English accent. The Federation represents more than 500 Italian jewellery companies and the highest expression of made in Italy in the sector. In the middle, we have Meg Barnes, who is product designer at ChloBo. ChloBo is a UK jewellery brand that incorporates many Italian-made components into its distinctive silver collections. And immediately to my left, we have Matteo Massini, manager of the Consumer Goods Promotion Office at the Italian Trade Agency, the government body supporting Italian businesses abroad and promoting excellence of made in Italy worldwide. Together, we're going to look at how Italian provenance can be harnessed in the UK market, from design and production right through to partnerships and consumer messaging. So I'm just going to kick off with a question to sort of all the panelists. As I mentioned, Italian jewellery is synonymous with quality and craftsmanship, but how can this provenance be best communicated to UK consumers who, as we know in the UK, are increasingly value-driven and trend-conscious?
Well, to start with, thank you, first of all, for inviting us to take part in this event. Well, on our side, of course, the communication has to be intended in a peculiar way, because being a trade agency, a state government trade agency, we don't promote specific brands or products, but the brand we are working for is a Made in Italy brand. So, of course, we have declination of this promotion biased on the single markets, on the single area, based on the consumer's preference. We have a network of offices as a government body in the Italian embassies around the world, or consulate. So we have so-called antennas that could take information from what's going on every day in the markets and follow specific trends for specific kind of products. So for us, the branding of Made in Italy is something that has not a single way of producing. In Britain, as in other countries in Europe, we also rely on, for example, on a survey that we conducted together with Confindustria FEDERORAFI last year, and maybe later on we'll go more in detail in that. But it is something that gave us very good hints on how to present this brand to the specific customer that we find in the UK.
I was just going to say, especially from like a ChloBo standing point, so we create jewellery that is commercially viable for multiple different people. And I think that when we work with our Italian suppliers, they're really great at working with us on a product that we can focus on trend, but also achieve a price point that's right for our customer. And I think that they're really integral to that, and I think that customers value that as well, especially with the transparency that is kind of renowned now within the market. People like to know where their product is from, and having that personable kind of element that we've designed the product with our supplier is really valuable to us.
Brilliant. So Luigi, I'm going to come to you first. The Federation represents over 500 companies across Italy's jewellery districts. What strengths or specialisms does Italian manufacturing bring that make it so competitive internationally and specifically in the UK?
Well, you said we have more than 500 industries located in different locations like Valenza, Vicenza, Arezzo, and Torre del Greco. And in all this area, we are specialized in different, we have our own specific production, like the very high jewelry in Valenza, the cameo and all the stones in Torre del Greco and Naples, Vicenza, and Arezzo. They are pretty similar with some different production, but more or less with gold and silver jewelry. I think that what we are doing well is to combine the artisan technique with the industrial efficiency. And combine the two techniques together, we are able to come out with some new product with the new design that it's always important, especially for UK market, to be very trendy and to be very to be on the wave of the fashion at the moment with a very good price point that is, of course, UK as other markets are always very sensitive.
And I think that, I mean, I went to visit a factory yesterday, and certainly something that I saw was obviously Italy has kind of centuries of heritage and history and goldsmithing and silversmithing, but companies are managing to really blend that tradition with innovation, whether through design, technology.
True. Of course, design, of course, I like to remind that Italy is very famous because the made in Italy is still very famous because jewelry is actually born here in Italy. We have passion in what we are doing. So in the years, of course, we were able, and in the past 3 days, we have seen the symposium, bringing all the innovation with new technique, new machinery. I was very surprised. There was the last presentation on the symposium that they show how to set up the diamond with the IE innovation. So there was a machine that set up the diamonds and was looking if the surface were clear and was missing. So actually, we are always in advance with the new technique and new machinery. Of course, we try to be digitally in advance. Of course, COVID just teach us that probably the way that we were working was not really probably the best, that we can stay home. So, of course, probably UK was more a little in advance about the digital, the e-commerce, but of course we learned pretty fast, and now we are good on that as well. And overall, I think that jewelry is still very important in Italy because we are the pioneer in all the segment, machinery, trend, fashion, design. In fact, Vicenza is very well known. A lot of people, they are coming for inspiration and they are bringing back to their countries.
And what support does the Federation provide its members in terms of internationalization, and how are you working to kind of strengthen ties between your members and the UK?
Actually, I have to say, and I'm happy that Matteo Masini is here today because actually, thank you for the Italian Trade Commission. He already said something, but I have to say that thanks to them, through them, there are a lot of opportunities that we can bring to other countries like UK, for example. He didn't mention, but on October 2nd, Italy will be at the embassy in UK, and there will be all from the very beginning. So there will be Alois, chains, high jewelry. So there will be all the entire jewelry industry that it would be there to show how beauty is and how complex is the jewelry manufacturing in Italy. Embassy, they are going to open the UK embassy, they are going to, actually the Italian embassy in UK, they are going to open the doors for the major customer like ChloBo.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, just, is there anything else you wanted to add about that event in October?
Well, actually, the event, as I already stated, is one of the kind of action that we take within the general mandate that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs gives us every year to find ways to promote the knowledge and the routing, let's say, so the Italian products, Italian production, and Italian brands in the markets. This is quite a special event because usually we go on very traditional and very sound channels like business exhibition. Not only in Italy, for example, here in Vicenza, of course, we make we give a big support in form of inviting delegation of foreign buyers and making them visit the exhibition, meeting the Italian company and so on. We also organize Italian pavilions with Italian companies at specialized fairs abroad. For example, we have two, the biggest ones we organize are in the United States and in Hong Kong, with hundreds of companies exhibiting in the Italian pavilion under one roof. But as also Luigi remarked, we also need to find ways to dig more deeply, to say so, in the market. And in this respect, the embassies can be, the diplomatic network of Italy can be a very important ally, not only because it provides us with funding and provides us with the support in communication and organizing, but also because the appeal that kind of communication can have, of course, is a big plus for us.
Definitely.
Mm-mm.
And from a brand perspective, Meg, obviously ChloBo jewelry is designed in the UK, and you're very much a UK brand. But as I said, the brand uses many Italian-made components within the jewelry. From your experience as a product designer, what does working with Italian jewelry manufacturers add to the product offering?
Yeah, so we cover lots of different jewelry categories. We have necklaces, earrings, and we're most known for our beaded bracelets. And many of those components we source from Italy. And I think one of the main things which is super important to us, because we're such a multi-component brand, is to have a trusting relationship with our supplier and have a consistency of product as well. So that's really important, and it brings kind of, in a way, like security to our designs. We've had designs that we've had for 10 years, so we need to ensure that for the next 10 years we can consistently make them, so our consumer is receiving the same kind of product. But not only that, the suppliers also provide a huge catalogue that every time we come to create a new collection, they will always, like you were saying, they're very innovative, there's always newness, there's always something that we haven't explored before that we can bring to our products, to ensure that we're always providing newness to our customer.
And how do you balance the kind of ChloBo's UK brand identity, I guess, and brand handwriting with the Italian craftsmanship behind the components?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we're multi-component, so we, majority, like I said, of our beads, chain, we have like a special ChloBo tag, which informs our customer that the product is ours and was handmade by us. But all of our products are handmade within the UK, so once we get all the components in from Italy, we then design and create iconic looking pieces. So I would say that the balance kind of comes from having a great product from Italy and then being able to use that great product to provide new designs and have them handmade within our head office in the UK. And we hand design all of our charms as well within the UK. So kind of all these pieces that are put together eventually bring our iconic ChloBo look But I would say our Italian suppliers are really, really vital to us to ensure that that look is consistent throughout the years.
And is there any kind of particular kind of techniques or finishes or qualities that you feel you can only achieve through these Italian partnerships?
Yeah, definitely. 100%, we have a company who have helped us create our own colour for our gold plating. That's super important to us because it's unique to ourselves. It's USP for our product. It makes us stand out on the market. We also have hollow chain that we get from Italy. This helps us to achieve a statement look, but with a really great RRP for our consumer, so that it's achievable price point for them. And as I mentioned, the beads, which is just like a huge, huge part of our brand. So 100% the beads, because they're great quality, and it means that we can create a great quality product for our customer.
And do the sort of the end consumer, the ChloBo customer, do they recognise the Italian provenance through the quality of the pieces? And is that something you kind of highlight when selling your product?
So currently we do not highlight it at the moment, but one of our targets for the next year is to provide more transparency for our products and more of like a product passport, so that our customer can really see that we have found the best quality product and components and then handmade them with care and ensured that their end product is durable, long-lasting, and that they can wear it kind of day in, day out. So we are definitely looking at making our customers more aware of the Italian provenance that we have within our products.
Fantastic. Coming to you, Matteo, how important is the UK jewellery market for Italian jewellery manufacturers today?
Well, for us, it's a key market on more than one respect. Also, given on the data of the same survey we conducted, it came out that in this situation, many Italian producers, not only in the jewelry sector, but also in the jewelry sector, are reverting in a way to the European markets, not only European Union markets, but including UK, Switzerland, and so on. On one hand, of course, because of the uncertainty about the commercial politics of the United States, that is the bigger market for many, many Italian products. On the other hand, because among the 5 markets that were surveyed, including Italy, so it was Germany, France, Spain, UK, and Italy, the British market is the biggest in terms of volume, but it's also the market where the Italian market share is lower, with a wide margin for growth. Based on some elements, we heard, for example, how this market is open to cooperation in terms not only of selling, not only of export, but also of joining together forces to produce in order to include in local production Italian design, Italian components, and so on. For example, this is an aspect that is especially important for us, for the fashion industry as a whole, not only jewelry. For example, the Italian Ministry for Foreign Trade signed an agreement with the main association of the fashion industry, and Confindustria FEDERORAFI is among them, in order to enhance the support to the Italian contents, not only the export, but also the idea that something Italian in the products can be an asset, a valuable asset in foreign markets. And it is starting work, it works actually. And we see that the market in UK, at least from the data that we collected and we analyzed, is one of the most receptive in this respect. It's very open to that, even because probably there is an attention to many elements, not only style, not only brand, not only the raw material, but it's a more complicated, in a way, mix of elements that drive the choices of the customer in UK.
And do you see that as a kind of opportunity for strengthening trade relations?
Exactly. It is an opportunity also because Italian companies can be very active in promoting joint production.
Yeah. And I'm sorry to talk about Brexit, but we can't really have this conversation without talking about it. So how is the Italian Trade Agency helping Italian jewelry companies adapt to kind of the post-Brexit challenges?
Well, in part, we introduced in the first question before because we organize occasion for Italian companies to meet possible counterparts. But there is also an intelligence side, let's say so, like the survey that was mentioned before. Or also there is also another project that's quite original for us. It was also a first experience that we conducted together with Confindustria FEDERORAFI, involving 4 influencers, 3 from the United States, 1 from UK, that were allowed to travel through Italy, visit the areas that Luigi mentioned before in the district, the area where the Italian jewelry industry is more deeply rooted, and had the occasion to vehiculate in a way, to express to their audience the values behind the product, the single product. So we are trying to put all the instruments we have at our disposal, thanks to the funding of the Italian government, or the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to make that. Besides that, we also assist single companies in the market. For example, in the UK, we have the office in London that is every day working with Italian companies that a single company refer to them in order to find customers, to test their production on that specific market, and so on. This is a one-to-one procedure that we have that is very useful for the company because it's not, market-based. It's a service that the Italian administration gives to the company. So it's quite cheap for them.
Sorry if I can add it, it's working very well. The team that they have in UK, as in the other part of the world, are very prepared. The trade analysts and all the team, from the director to the trade analyst, they are working very well. They are going deeply on the research that eventually, as us, I'm just telling because I did it, and the reply was precise. They give you the exact information for the market or the question that you are placing to them. So definitely it's a way even to study the UK market on our perspective, on our side.
Thanks.
No, I did, so I think that...
And I guess the question for all of you, really, obviously, and it's something you alluded to, Meg, as well, sustainability and transparency are now, even more than ever, major drivers of consumer purchasing decisions. So how does Italian jewellery manufacturing position itself on these issues? And what role can kind of the provenance of made in Italy play in telling that story?
Well, of course, I can talk about what we see from outside because we are not, of course, the head player on the market, but we see that the attention is very keen on the Italian producer side in general, but also specifically on UK market, because we noticed that, as I was introducing before, the drivers that come into account when UK customers generally make their choices is very articulated, and these elements have a bigger share than in other markets. For example, sustainability, ethically sourcing, and also the idea that apart from its specific value, a jewel can be a way of expressing or underlining some aspect of personality, of identity that is stronger in UK than other countries, at least from the data that we collected. So this is one aspect to which the Italian producers are paying attention. We expect it to develop further in the evolution of the product that will be designed for that market, even because there is this continuous exchange of experience between the Italian producer and their British counterparts.
Matteo is talking about outside, I can talk from inside, and I think that is very important right now as a producer to be sustainability, to be transparent, to be have all the information for the provenance of claim. Definitely, probably US was the pioneer, but UK definitely they went deeper on this kind of problem. The passport, for example, to the style. For example, we're already working with several brands, and it's very interesting seeing on the web, if you buy the chain, the earrings coming from which refinery is coming, the refinery where send the metal, so it's going to the producer, then it's sent to the plating process until the final. So it's very interesting, and I think that is a way right now even to show to the consumer that actually we are working in the very healthy way, and each time they know from where it's coming from. So I think that is very important, and the companies in Italy, I think that they are very well informed, and they know that if they want to grow, the future has to be in this way.
Is that something you see among your consumers as well, Meg, that they...
Yeah, absolutely. I think that people are, like a personal connection to products that people are purchasing is really important at the minute. Within ChloBo, we've always kind of had this personal connection to the product visually, but I think more and more the world is becoming more sustainable. So I think having a personal connection to the way that the product has been sourced and designed is kind of, really important to consumers now. I think they want to know that they're not going to be buying a product which has maybe been harmful, within the manufacturing process to the environment. So I definitely agree that the product passport, the sustainability element is really key to engaging and keeping customers in the future.
Brilliant. We do have an opportunity to open the floor to questions, if anybody has any questions.
Thank you very much. I'm Bhavya from VD Global. It was a very amazing panel to understand about, traceability and provenance of made in Italy. I think product passports is a very interesting conversation, especially now as we hear about it more and a lot of people are doing it. So is it a physical one or a digital one? And how transparent are you willing to be other than the region? Are you going to be mentioning the supplier's name, their environmental impacts, what sort of audits they've gone through, audits your brand yourself may have gone through, and what sort of other complications that can come with. So for example, like a warranty card as well. Curious on more about, digital product passports.
Yeah, so we ourselves are currently going through this process. So to be completely transparent with you about our transparency of products, we are finding that we're finding our way in that. How transparent do we want to be with our consumers? How much do we think they want to know as well? I think for us, instead of a physical passport, we would be looking at kind of having a digital passport. So when you go onto our online website, if you click onto a product, it will kind of have, like you were saying, a source of where we've sourced. For instance, for us, it would be the beads from, how we have sourced the charm, maybe the carbon footprint, and how far those things have travelled as well, because that obviously all is taken a part of that product's journey. So we are going through, I don't really have like a final answer for you because we're trying to find it out ourselves. But I think it's mainly just like a generalization. I don't think we'll put all kind of certificates on the website there. I think we will keep it as quite simple to understand so our consumers can look at it and there's not loads for them to read. They just know that we're conscious of where and how we're manufacturing our products. If that is an okay answer? I don't know.
No, that makes sense, and you're in the middle of figuring it out as well. So that means each type of product would have one passport. It's not that each consumer would be purchasing a piece and each piece comes with its individual product passport. It's a general product passport for one type of item.
For us personally, yes. As I mentioned, we're a multi-component brand, but we have kind of mass market products. So we have multiple designs. Say we have 100 designs and we recreate those designs over and over again. So for one product, it could have one passport because we know exactly where all of those components are coming from, and every single time it's being made, all 2,000 of those products are going to have the same journey.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Any other questions? Oh.
Thanks. Thanks for your presentation. I'm Roger Guest, and I'm in the process of starting a new made in Italy jewelry brand with my wife. My question's just in regards to the data behind the consumer preferences in the UK compared to other major markets. Where are those insights coming from? How do you ascertain that there's a more sort of detailed mix of drivers in the UK versus other markets?
Mm-hmm. Well, the main source for the data that I was referring to today is a survey that was especially made together for us, so for the Italian Trade Agency and Confindustria FEDERORAFI, on a specific instance that was deemed useful 2 years ago because of the evolution of this market. This is the main source I was referring to, and the survey was conducted interviewing both trade people and consumers, retailers, and so on. But it is, of course, a part of the wider data collection and analysis that our network offices actually they work on this issue every day, because especially when they organize, for example, Italian pavilions or trade missions or trade events, of course, they refresh the data they have. They also refer to open sources and or to sources that are provided by entities that are similar to the association we have in Italy. In each country, we have some way of entrepreneurs association or chamber of commerce and so on that can provide with data. So in each case, our offices, our network offices rely on these different sources and put them together. But in this specific instance, we also had a product that was made up of interviews with specific profiles in these 5 countries. So the issues that I mentioned came mainly from that.
Just brief follow-up. Of the other major market, of the other 5 markets, which comes closest to the UK?
It depends on which respect. In terms of consumer drivers, it's interesting because UK in some sense stands alone in this group, because in other countries you have a more dedicated approach to, for example, brands or design. So I remember that in the survey we had a question with 10, I think, or 11 different drivers that would come into account when choosing an object. Not only general, like brand or origin or material and so on, but also the occasion on which that specific customer decides to buy a jewel, or the relation with social or traditional events. So the picture is quite complex. In a way, the other 3, Spain, France, and Germany, are more close to each other in these respects. But of course, if you take single issues, there can be a bigger similarity with Italy or with UK. The most striking feature of UK was this extreme articulation of the motivation, the importance of the single individual preference, the way that, as I said before, a jewel, the choice of a jewel can be used to express personality or identity. In a way, it reminds me the idea, since in my office, of course, I work with all the industries of fashion, the way that the fact that UK is the homeland of the regimental tie. So a fashion item that also express your belonging to a specific body, to a specific group, and so on. And in a way, what we see is that different from the other 4, because there's also Italy besides the other 3, UK has an approach of that kind. There are also similarities, of course, in terms of volume, in terms of distribution channels. So, for example, if I remember well, there is a similarity in the role played by independent retailers. It's a little bit higher in the UK than in the others, but the difference is not so striking. Of course, depending on which aspect you are more interested in, the 5 countries can be grouped in different ways.
So is that information from these surveys, is it available in any way? Do you have reports published that give some?
Well, the final document is published on our website, so it's available for, you just need to register on the website. Of course, if you're interested in specific aspects or to make a more personalized approach to Italian producer and to specific aspects that have been dealt with in the survey, you can refer to our offices and make a specific question, and then we can see if we have also other elements or other sources that can come into account.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good question here.
Thank you very much. I'm Michela Ferraro. I'm a jury consultant based in the UK for the last 17 years. I'm curious to understand, you were mentioning in particular the semi-finishing products. Is there any space for the brands made in Italy? Because so far what I understood, that there is a sort of made in Italy in terms of parts and manufacturing, but design in the UK. So it seems we are talking two different things. So what is exactly the purpose? Is there more a drive for the support of the English designers, or there is a piece of market that is ready to buy 100% made in Italy and design made in Italy?
I mean, I think from what we see from a retail jeweler perspective, it's both. Depending, I mean, the thing about the English market, as you know, is it's primarily independents. And, you know, within that, there's hundreds and thousands of different sorts of independent jewelers. And some are buying more at the fashion end, some are buying kind of more at the design end, and some are operating at the very, very high end. So within that, you know, you've got retailers that and the consumers that want to buy products from UK brands like ChloBo that designed and made in the UK, but might feature kind of the quality of the Italian-made components. But also you have brands like Foppe and Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego that do very, very well in the UK as well on the branded side, and that's because people also appreciate the craftsmanship and the quality of those Italian-made brands.
We are talking about big brands. Do you think the independent designers from Italy have space as well? Because Marco Bicego, Roberto, we are talking about big industries.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, as I said, there's a very broad market within the UK, and there's some retailers that specialize in bringing through new designers, whether they're from the UK, Germany, Italy, the States. So, you know, depending on the kind of retailers that you're talking to, yes, I think there is.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, that almost brings us to the end of our session. Thank you so much. I also want to extend my heartfelt thanks to Luigi and Meg and Matteo for sharing their perspectives today. I think it's clear that Italian jewellery continues to kind of set a global benchmark for quality and craftsmanship, and I think there's significant opportunities in the UK for both retailers and brands to harness kind of everything that's great about Italian jewellery and to tell the story of that through heritage, craftsmanship, and also innovation and new technologies. I think that collaboration between Italian manufacturers and businesses in the UK remains super important, and hopefully it's something that we can continue to build on and evolve, especially as we kind of develop those conversations around sustainability and transparency. Mm-hmm. So thank you once again to our panelists, and thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, really.